Welcome back to the show, everyone. Of course, a new year, and everyone is curious about what the year holds for them. So we're not going to talk specifically about signs necessarily today, although we
maybe
may
a little bit about Taurus.
Maybe a couple signs. So if you're a Taurus or a Piscean,
everybody knows Georgia Nicols because she is eerily accurate when it comes to astrology, and of course she has a great book you can pick up. How are you, Georgia?
Hi, Georgia.
I'm great, and it's wonderful to be here.
So eerily accurate or mathematically accurate? What would be the appropriate term?
It's definitely mathematical. It's mathematical. This is not like ooey. It really isn't. People think it is, but it isn't.
Well, you have your charts with you, and the rising sign.
Virtually, I'm just using a map.
Right? It's a map, and I was asking you about rising signs, and you were showing us. Maybe you can show us again the rising sign, what that means, and what time of day, because what you said about Mike is so true.
Okay. Well, actually, when I was showing it here, I was talking about just your sun sign, not the rising sign.
Right. Okay.
But. Oh, well, that is okay. It's depending on your rising sign where your sun would be. But I would just say this, since you mentioned that, if a person is born at sunrise, their rising sign is going to be over on the at 3 o'clock.
Right.
9 o'clock. If they're born at noon, actually it's not the rising sign. The rising sign is going to change and it's going to throw your sun there. So this is why it is a little complicated. It's actually your sun is going to be up here. And if you're born at dusk, the sun will be at 3 o'clock. And if you're born around midnight, the sun is down low.
So Mike was born at daybreak, which is what he said. And
that's a very powerful time. If you're born at daybreak, then the sun is going to be, the rising sign is going to be lined up with your sun. I think this is going to get a little too technical for people. But what I would say this is the rising sign is based on the time of day you're born.
Yeah.
And the rising sign is your persona, your mask. It's what you project to the world.
That's what I was going to ask, because people now are becoming more familiar with, obviously, the month they were born in and how that aligns to signs, but that idea of a rising sign. And
so Fiona, who is a demure Taurus.
Yes.
But she's Leo rising, and Leo is theatricality, very dramatic, it's over the top, they do everything big, they're generous, they're flirtatious, and it's a sign associated with Hollywood.
Yeah.
And for example, cities can have rising signs, and Las Vegas is Leo rising, Reno is Leo rising.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there you go, yeah.
That's fascinating.
Victoria is Leo rising. Victoria's Pisces and Leo rising. It's a combination of the two of you.
Oh, that's really funny. Yeah. So 2012, I mean, obviously your book last year, it covers a broad swath of time, and people can sort of use it as a guide into the future, as it says, you and your future.
Yeah.
2012, any overarching themes that people should be aware of or think about?
Yes, there is one unusual thing happening, and it's just for this year. What it is this. The planet Mars represents energy. It actually rules our blood, it rules our muscles, it rules our sexual energy. It's how we aggress, it's how we fight. In fact, it even rules war and the military and whatnot. So Mars goes through all the 12 signs, and it takes about 2 years to do so, right? 2 years. And so it's briefly in each sign for about 6 weeks. Well, Mars is now in Virgo for 8 months. For 8 months, it's staying in this one.
So does that mean it's going to be very aggressive?
Well, what it means is you'll have Mars and Virgo in a special place in your chart, special place in your chart, special place in my chart. Like each of us has this thing, right? For example, I was talking to somebody out there earlier, and she's a Sagittarius. Mars, for them, is making them very ambitious. But for Pisces, by the way, Mars is opposite you, and it means that it's quite easy for you to have little fights, virtually.
Yay!
Oh my gosh!
Hey, you shut up!
He's a scrapper too. Don't go to the Roxy.
You are very easily irritated with others. You'll think it's them, like, oh my God, these jerks, And
it's not them. It's me.
Well, I don't know. No, that's a good point. But you will have to be patient.
You better not mess with me.
What about me? What about Taurus? Am I going to be aggressive and getting in fights?
Taurus. Mars. Oh, you're so lucky. Okay, you're so lucky. It's boosting your 5th house, and the 5th house is about love affairs, romance, vacations. You want to have fun. You want to party. It's just creative. You're just loving it. You must take a lot of vacations this year.
I do.
She's already taken a bunch of vacations this year. So when it comes to sort of global themes and stuff, you talk about conflict, war, and all these other things.
Well, here's a nasty little thing, I guess I'll just mention this. Okay, the planet Uranus takes 84 years to go through its cycles, right? Yeah. Uranus is now in Aries. It went into Aries in April of this year. It just flirted into Aries, flitted in around for 3 months last summer, but it just entered now in April, and it's here until 2019. The last time that particular
Please don't
transit
say what I
happened,
think you're going to say.
yes, it was from 1927 to 1935.
Oh my
boy.
goodness, yeah.
So we are in for some grim financial times, and that's just a fact.
How interesting. I mean,
Look at the world. I mean, you
well,
can see
yeah,
it.
I was going
Right.
to say, I mean, you know, people talk all the time about feelings, about vibes, you know, that they feel in the world, and it does feel, I think, in the last couple, like uncertainty and
Very uncertain.
you know, all these things,
Yeah,
and it's
all of that.
interesting how people as a society and as a world share those same feelings and intuitions.
You can look at Europe. We can look at the States. Now, here's a nice little bright note, because I also have the chart of Canada. Canada, okay, another little thing. We have what we call progress charts. That means that every year your chart goes and it removes 1 degree a year.
Yeah.
So Canada this year is breaking into a new sign, a progress sign, and for the first time, and it's Sagittarius. And so this tells me that, and the last time it changed was right after Trudeau in 1981. So from 1981 until now, Canada started to take on a tough guy image, being much more black, white,
Yeah.
and we're losing we will always have our nice guy image, because Canada's Libra rising.
Yeah, right. We're nice.
Okay, we are nice, okay. But now, for the next 30 years, Canada is going to be perceived by other countries in the world as being rich, or as being affluent, or fortunate.
Right.
That's a good thing.
And I see already that because of the banking system and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I just read recently people are flocking here to work.
Yeah.
Really? That sort of surprised me, but at any rate.
Any
Always
other
creating some issues.
positive notes for 2012 before we go?
A positive note for 2012.
God, I think
the
that you have to
banking-
reach for it. Oh God, 2012.
Okay, well, the Taurus is, by the way, Jupiter is in Taurus. So you asked for this, and it's the truth. Taurus is one of the luckiest. Taurus and Capricorns are very lucky because Jupiter is in your sign for the first time in 12 years. You're sailing into this year like good fortune. The only downside could be weight gain, because you are attracting
God.
so much goodness. You can attract weight, flesh to the bone, right?
So lay off the sweets then.
Lay off the sweets.
Thank you so much, Georgia.
Yeah.
You can pick up Georgia's book. It is an absolute must-have. You and your future. Do not miss
Yeah,
out.
very funny, Georgia. I was going to tell you this off air, but we have a small library in our home, and for some reason, people gravitate towards your book. I can't tell you how many dinner parties I've ended up with
It's a
people
great
flipping through the
conversation
book
starter.
and talking about
Yeah.
your sign.
It is, and people all, I've heard that. I've heard the people,
Yeah.
I've heard that
So
very
leave
thing.
my copy alone, and all my friends, go get your own copy, for
Thank you
goodness
so
sakes. We're
much,
gonna
and
take a
happy
break.
2012.
It's really doing well, too.
We're going
Thanks.
to take a quick
Okay.
break.